What's up? It's Jamel Jackson. I'm here again to talk about living with the memory. Now, in my previous post, I was talking about how we dealt with traumatic experiences, how I dealt with traumatic experiences in my personal life, how I dealt with struggles, how I overcame those struggles. And one of the things I was talking about was your memory, your short-term and your long-term memory. And like I said, your long-term memory is not going anywhere. Your short-term memory, like I said, lasts for anywhere from between 14 to 45 seconds to a minute. But your long-term memory, those traumatic experiences, that hurt, that pain that you may have experienced when you were a child, into your teenage years, into your adulthood, is etched in your long-term memory, and it's not going anywhere. Now, like I said, even in our society, in our culture, and most of our families, we've been told, if something hurts you or if something's wrong, first of all, we're not going to talk about it because it's a special day, or we don't have time to talk about that. So we suppress those emotions down into our gut, down into our spirit, down into our soul and our hearts and our mind, and we just begin to mask it. So we go through life masking these memories, not knowing how to live with them, because most of the time we haven't been taught. Nobody has told us, or nobody does not even know how to live with the memory. So we do things even sometime in church, we'll say, hey, just pray about it. Just forgive them. Just love on them. And in business realm, just become successful. Get your grind on and do everything you got to do. And these are legitimate things to do, but they're just stepping stones to solving a bigger issue. Because no matter how many accolades you obtain, how much prayer you do, how much worship you may do, no matter if you're doing all these things, they're going to help. I'm not negating these things, but they're not going to erase your memory. So I began to ask God, well, how do I live with the memory? And I was addressing this in my last post, and now I'm here to answer that question. He told me, in order to learn how to live with your memory, which is not going anywhere, you are going to have to partner that memory, all those memories, with healthy people, not perfect people. Remember what I said, healthy people, not perfect people. For those of you who have been watching me for a while and following me, you know I like to use biblical principles, and this is how God deals with me. But there's a story addressing this memory issue where Jesus is having his Last Supper, and he's chilling out with his disciples, and he's passing this bread and this wine around, and he says, one of you are going to betray me. And then his right-hand man, one of his dudes, the disciples, Peter, he stands up, he says, no, it's never going to happen, God. Jesus, it'll never happen. I'm your right-hand man. I'm your road dog. It's not going down like that. Many of us have people like that in our lives. But Jesus is wise, wisdom, knowing it all. He says, look, before the rooster crows 3 times, you are going to deny me. Profound. Peter says, no, it's not going to happen. Jesus said, okay, cool. So the story goes on, and now Jesus is captured. And Peter goes on living his life, and people start to see Peter, and they say, hey, aren't you one of the guys that was with that prophetic man, Jesus? He says, no, it's not me. The rooster crows 1 time. Then Peter begins to blend in with the people that are in the community so they don't see him. And somebody says, hold on a second, man. I just kind of guarantee that you are the dude that was rolling with that guy, Jesus. Peter says, it's not me. And the rooster crows 2 times. And the 3rd time, Peter's still trying to squander around the community and blend in with the people. Kind of, we do that sometimes when we're trying to hide. We try to blend in. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But Peter's trying to blend in with the people. And then another lady sees him and says, yes, you are one of the disciples. You are one of the guys that was following Christ around, doing all these miracles. And Peter says, I'm not with him. And the rooster crows 3 times. So I'm reading that and I'm like, okay, so 3 times he denies, the rooster crows 3 times. Christ said that. And then I just continue to read the gospel. And now listen, during this whole time frame, Jesus is captured, he's crucified, he's buried, and he has resurrected. And I'm continuing to read the gospels, and I get to the gospel of John, and it's chapter 21, verse 15. And it says, after breakfast, Jesus asked Peter. So now, I don't know the time frame, but track with me now. I don't know the time frame, but remember, he's captured, crucified, buried, resurrected. Time has passed since Peter has denied him. And Jesus sees Peter on the scene again, and he says, Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, yes, Lord, you know I love you. He said, then feed my sheep. And then Jesus asked Peter the second time, he says, Peter, do you love me? And Peter says, Lord, yes. He said, then feed my lamb. And then the third time he says, Peter, do you love me? Now you check it for yourself in the book of John. The third time he asks Peter, he says, Peter, do you love me? And the Bible records this. It says Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question the third time. It says Peter was hurt. And I stopped when I was reading and I said, well, why was he hurt the third time, not the first time or the second time? Listen to me, guys. God said because the third time when he asked him, it triggered a memory from when Peter said, I won't deny you when they were at the supper. And Jesus said, before the rooster crows 3 times, you'll deny me. So when Jesus sees Peter again and he asked him this question, the third time it triggered the memory of when he denied Christ. And it says Peter was hurt. And God began to share with me, Jamel, now if the disciple went through that, if the disciple felt that trauma and felt that hurt, what makes you different? Peter never learned how to live with the denial of when he denied Christ 3 times. So on the third time when Christ asked him that, he was hurt. Now, God forbid, we don't know how to live with the memory. And like Judas, many of you know about, that memory drove him to isolation. It drove him to seclusion. It drove him to depression. It drove him to separate himself from everyone to the point he hung himself. And we see this taking place in the political arena. We see this taking place in churches. We see this taking place in entertainment and all types of industries where people are hurting from memories that we don't know how to live with. And it draws people to depression. It draws people to committing suicide. And I've come to tell you the way that we learn to live with the memory is partnering your memory with healthy people, not perfect people, because some people only want to hear your memory so they can gossip about your pain. Some people only want to know your memory so they can gossip about your pain. First of all, you need to partner your memory with God. You need to say, God, this hurts. I don't like how I feel. Be honest with yourself. Maybe it's something you did to yourself. Let alone what they did, he did, she did, whoever did. Maybe it's something you did to yourself. And you can go to God and say, God, I don't like how this feels. This makes me feel this way. What happened? Whatever the case may be, whatever that trauma, that pain was, you take it to him first. First partner with him. And then I believe it. I know it will happen. He's going to put people in your life, healthy people, that you can partner that memory or those memories with. And as you begin to partner those memories, here's what's going to happen. I know this from personal experience, because remember, the memory is not going anywhere. But what begins to happen is the memory begins to lose its strength. Like I told you in my marriage, when I was married, after that, I had to walk through the trauma. I had to learn how to live with the memory. And then also dealing with my own personal things from when I was a child to my teenage years to my adulthood. I began to unravel these memories and partner that memory and memories with a healthy person. Not a perfect person, with healthy people, not perfect people. And what happened was that memory began to lose its strength. Those memories begin to lose their strength. For some of us, the time frame may be longer. Some people, it may be a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years. But what happens is the memory loses its strength. So when triggers hit, because triggers will arrive in your life as you begin to live. And when those triggers hit, what happens is the memory comes, but it does not have enough strength to overwhelm me. It does not have enough strength to make me go into isolation. It does not have enough strength to make me go into depression. It does not have enough strength to have me say, oh, I just don't feel like being bothered. And then here's the thing, you become strong enough, you will become strong enough to the point where now you can legitimately say when somebody asks you, hey, how you doing? I'm okay. And you're really okay. You're really okay. We have to stop masking these memories, because really it's a deception and it's a device of the enemy, of Satan. I'm going to say it, he's an accuser of the brethren. And it's a device that people use against you, because here's the thing. He wants the mask that you put on to become so heavy that it weighs you down, that the facade, it weighs you down. That trying to uphold this image and be so, whatever the case may be, fake, it weighs you down to all he has to do is whisper in your ear, you might as well kill yourself. You might as well go back to that old habit. You might as well do that. You might as well do this. And because the weight is so heavy with the mask, we do it. Now remember, these memories are in your past. Now, God does not want to erase your past. Oh, this is good. He gave you a memory for a reason and an imagination for a reason. The enemy wants to erase your past. Because if he can erase your past, he can erase your testimony. God doesn't want to erase your past. He wants your past to remain. He wants to heal your past, not to erase your past. Because your past is going to be a testimony. The memory or the memories that you have of whatever that traumatic experience was, he's going to use that to set somebody else free. So as you begin to heal, he's not going to erase your memory. Your memory is a part of your testimony. Those traumatic experiences are a part of your testimony. So please be encouraged. Learning how to live with the memory is partnering your memory with healthy people, not perfect people. Listen, I have more to say about this. I'm expounding on this topic within my book, The Value of Relationships, Volume 2, which will be available in March. For now, if you guys want to hear more about this or talk more about this, DM me. I'm open to discuss this. You can partner your memory with me. I have some people in my Rolodex of resources that I can point you to that can help you live through your traumatic experiences, through the pain, through the hurt. Listen, no more. We're stepping into 2020 and we're going to learn how to live with the memory. Peace.